Welcome back, guys. So I'm just going to be talking about Fight Club and a particular scene in Fight Club. If you've ever seen the movie where the narrator, right, and Tyler are in this convenience store, and they take out a guy named Raymond K. Hessel, and they put a gun to his head, right? I'm going to be talking about that particular scene and how it's so impactful, right? There's many video essays done on Fight Club for a reason, because it's because it has a lot of great themes. It has a lot of great messages that movies today, that television shows today, just don't have. Right? They don't have that thumos. They don't have that truth to them. They don't have a message that they want to tell. A lot of them are just very superficial, propaganda-filled pieces that are just, lacking any substance, trying to brainwash people into thinking a certain way or accepting certain agendas. But that's another topic. The stuff from the past, right, from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, there's a reason there's been so many remakes and people keep going back to the movies, the television shows from those days, because, again, they actually had substance. They actually had a story to tell. They actually had important messages to tell. So again, if you're familiar with that particular scene in the movie, Tyler and the narrator take out a guy from the convenience store at gunpoint, right? And they put a gun to his head and they ask him what he really wanted to do. And the guy is just telling him how he wanted to be a veterinarian, right? But he was saying that there was too much schooling. He was just making excuse after excuse. And Tyler just gets real with him. He just basically says, cut the BS, and he puts a gun to his head and says that if he's not on his way to becoming a veterinarian within a week or two, that he's going to kill him, right? And obviously he was just joking around, but the purpose behind that action of his was to get his butt into gear, right? Sometimes we all need that wake-up call in life to really make us drop all the excuses, all the, negative programming, all the just negative thoughts that are running in our minds, to drop everything and to just go for our dreams, right? Tomorrow is not promised. We think that we have all the time in the world, but, if you have your health, if you have a roof over your head, and if you have food on your table, consider yourself very lucky and blessed. So Tyler does this to the narrator, and he shortly states that, tomorrow Raymond K. Hessel's breakfast is going to taste, the best that it has ever tasted, that he's really going to change his life from then on, right? And I'm sure he does. And that was the wake-up call that Raymond needed, right, to really kickstart his life and to change it. Because prior to that, he was just working in a convenience store, right? He was settling for mediocrity. Not that there's anything wrong with working at a convenience store, but, right, personally, and I'm sure you can agree that shouldn't be the end-all be-all to the things you want to achieve in life, right? Raymond actually had big ambitions, but again, he was just making up excuses. Tyler just cuts through all the BS and tells him, you gotta get your stuff together. And the matter in which he does it obviously is not ideal, but the impact behind it is great nonetheless. And the reason Tyler says that his breakfast is going to taste better than anything he's ever tasted is because he's going to be living with purpose. He's actually going to go out there and try to make his dreams come true, right? He has that fire in his belly, and he has obviously the fear of Tyler, but he has everything he needs to really change his life. And how many of us actually live life this way, with that fire in our belly, with that energy, waking up every day, wanting to make the most of it, right? Wanting to achieve our dreams, and to just have that basic ambition that I think, most people have, to just make something of themselves, right? How many of us are actually living day to day like that, having everything scheduled out, having goals for the week, the things that we want to achieve, and again, most importantly, just having that fire in our belly to make something of ourselves and of our lives, right? I'm sure you can relate. People these days, it's a sad thing to see when you see most people. They kind of have a deadpan look in their face. They have a dead expression. I'm sure you can probably relate to what I'm saying. Just settling for less, settling for less of what they can be and achieve, right? Everybody's situation is different, but I guess what I'm trying to say is to not conform and to not settle, right? Because life is too grand. There's so many opportunities. There's so many beautiful things that you can achieve that, you shouldn't settle for less. You should always strive for the best things in life, within reason, of course, right? I'm not saying I should own 3 yachts and have 2 private jets, right? Everything within reason, but there's just so much opportunity and possibility out there that, again, don't settle for less of what you can actually be, right? Don't be kind of like Raymond K. Hessel. The guy had big dreams. He wanted to be a vet, but he settled for less for whatever reason, for whatever excuse he may have had in the book, that there was too much schooling, that he was afraid of this, he was afraid of that. Drop all that. Drop all your excuses and just go for it. Don't fall into the trap of monotony, or having too much of a daily routine that doesn't really inspire you, that doesn't really give you that energy to wake up in the morning and to get after it, right? If you fall into that sort of thing, there's probably something wrong within your life, right? Whether it be your job, the hobbies that you're doing, not having enough time for your personal stuff, whatever. There's a reason you're feeling that way. So feelings are there to give us signals. I think Tony Robbins said that, right? Feelings are there to give us a message. So it's important to listen to the messages that you're getting, right? If you're experiencing certain emotions on a day-to-day, obviously there's a balance within that as well, because you don't want to be an overly emotional person. That doesn't really help you. But again, if you're experiencing certain emotions from day to day, and it's probably a message that you need to listen to. I think the reason a lot of us are just programmed, we're literally programmed to think a certain way growing up through the school system, through television programming. We're instilled with this kind of fear and just blind authority, or just blind allegiance to authority, through the school system, again, through the television shows that we watch as kids. Fear is just being pumped into our little minds, day in and day out, and we don't have the, I guess, awareness or kind of perspective at that age to really filter the things we're watching, right? To really question the things we're watching. Young minds are very impressionable, obviously, so they're subconsciously going to be programmed. People are going to be subconsciously programmed as they grow up with certain ideas, with certain ways of living, right? And I think fear, having a person be just really instilled with fear and anxiety as they grow up, is a powerful control weapon, right? Just think about it. Just having those two emotions, they can be very powerful in their own right. But if all of your decisions are being filtered through those, right, just anxiety, fear, what ifs, you're never really going to get things off the ground, right? You're always going to be playing it safe. Not that you shouldn't. Of course, you should always be mindful of the actions that you take. But there's also an element of risk. There's also an element of getting after it, right? Of taking that risk that involves that winning. That involves with winning stuff, that with achieving stuff. So again, don't be like Raymond K. Hessel. There's a great quote that I heard from a certain YouTuber here. It goes, "When you lose your excuses, you get your results." And it's very true. When you drop all the BS and you just get real with yourself, when you stop being a coward, when you let go of fear, when you actually have, your actions in place, and you take the daily actions that are necessary to achieve a certain something, that's when you start seeing results, right? Never giving up and actually believing in what you're doing. So again, the quote, I'll just leave you with the quote: "When you lose your excuses, you get your results." So if you made it this far in the video, hopefully something that I mentioned is of value to you, is of use to you. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I just make videos on topics that I find fascinating, whether it be a movie like this, right? A movie like Fight Club, a television show, a certain series, anything that just fascinates me in general. I also try to give life advice, based on personal experience from time to time, that hopefully, helps somebody out there. Thank you to all the viewers and subscribers of this channel. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next one.